Hey guys, this is the Ekron writer here. Welcome you back to another OBS production. This here is actually one of my favorite epics since I did F-Zero ending it all. Actually, this is before I did the F-Zero project. Sleepy Hollow, the missing episode. Also known as my version of Season 5 since Season 4 got cancelled. Damn Fox. I wish it never merged with Disney, and I wish it gave it a second chance. Well, I wish FX would give it a second chance. Anyway, this is where I fill in the missing gaps that the series has left. And this is actually the largest and one of my best projects I've ever made. So without further delay, let's get this thing going. Alright, Sleepy Hollow, the missing episodes. I don't own Sleepy Hollow. Fox did. Not anymore. Hello, sleepyheads. I'm sure you are all upset just as I am that our favorite series has ended far too soon. It was cancelled due to poor ratings and the endless repercussions Season 3 left. Rest in peace, Abby Mills. I really thought Season 4 would make a comeback, but it didn't for most. So Season 5 was never created. Until I did it. So here are the missing episodes. With so many loose ends to tie up, I'm starting with the first and foremost issue that showed moments before the series ended for good. The Kraken. Chapter 1. Conquering the Kraken. It was a typical day in the District of Columbia, nothing but an overcast sky that could possibly promise some patches of rain. The fresh air, the salty scent emitting from the Potomac, and the constant chatter of insects filled their hearts with relaxation. Beside the camper, Jenny and Gavin decided to rest after an eventful day. The sergeant was completely enthralled, using a tablet as he read some fascinating history of the river itself. Wow, Jenny, look at this! I can't believe how important this place was during the Revolution and the Civil War. George Washington was born and raised here throughout most of his life. This river had divided our nation in two. One side led to the Union, the other went to the Confederacy. There were so many gruesome battles. Yes, this place is very rich in history. You can learn a lot about our heritage and how this place gave birth to our nation. She was mostly intrigued with the struggles during Lincoln's inauguration and the abolition of slavery and Washington's distant past. And it was no wonder this place was important since it was named the nation's river, and that DC dominated most of the watershed. I hope Ichabod learned a lot about this place during and after the Revolution. I'm sure he has. His mind reminisced of how much his idol developed over the years, from his humble beginnings as a student, then history professor in Oxford, to his duties as a revolutionary and witness, to the days they fought together. Crane and his friends have done so much throughout the 18th century and even the past 4 years. As he drifted, something perked Jenny's ears. There was a strange sound coming from the river, a soothing yet unusual song. She gazed out to the river and she saw nothing. She went to Gavin and asked if he heard it. He just shook his head and they listened. Eventually they heard a stronger sound and he thought it belonged to a whale, maybe a humpback. It wasn't possible something that big would live here. The only rare inhabitant was a bull shark. Jenny figured it was something paranormal. Perhaps something interrupted her as they saw a long serpentine tail with a huge fin splash into the river. What was that? I'm not sure, but it doesn't look good. It may be a siren. A siren? The same one that lures sailors to their deaths? God, I didn't know it could make such a calm song like that. We must stay alert, Gavin. I don't want us to succumb to its song. We'd best get out of here and call the guys. Moments later, Diana received a message at her house with Ichabod and Molly. He said that she was free to choose her destiny, whether she wants to be a witness or not. She wielded the mantle with such bravery, he mentioned. She hasn't really decided where the future would take her just yet. Ichabod and Diana left toward the Potomac River overlook. A green sign to the right showed the location. Diana somehow knew Crane was hiding something, and she was very concerned. "We tell each other everything, Crane. We're partners." "What happened to you?" The deep sigh he revealed a burning pentagram beneath his upper left arm. Diana was shocked to see it and asked what he'd done. He said he made a deal with Lucifer in exchange for the Philosopher's Stone, which was used to eliminate Malcolm's immortality. He offered him his soul upon the event of his death. "How could you willingly do such a thing? You're damned!" "I can fix this." She grabbed his arm and told him. "They'll fix it together." Then the pair saw a creature that surfaced and stood up in the river. It let out a monstrous screech with tentacles sticking out of its body. It looked as pale blue-gray, matching the lake. Strange thing was that it had the ability to shift from a female to a whale-like monster, putting them in a constant debate. As it submerged, Ichabod confirmed it to be a Kraken, but Diana refused to believe it, saying it's a siren. He could state himself as a witness on it, but she thought that what Jenny heard was a creature that's like a succubus. "No, it's known to lure sailors to their doom." "Well, we'd best get to work, shall we?" The two headed back to their minivan. Meanwhile, Gavin was perplexed. "Wait a second. Ichabod said the creature we heard and saw is a Kraken, but Diana and you said it was a siren. Which one is it?" "It could be a little bit of both. It doesn't possess similar traits to a whale. It's enormous. Diana said it looked like a woman. So it may just be a hybrid." "But aren't sirens half woman and half bird? And don't they live on some rocky island that pierces through ships? They aren't known to be aquatic. This one is. We're definitely dealing with one tough mother." She looked out at the lake again in anticipation, then at the clock on her phone. It was near evening. "I think we should settle for the night," Gavin agreed. To be safe, the trailer was parked just a few miles from the water bank. Darkness fell over the city rapidly. Jenny and Gavin were sound asleep as they were both mentally drained going over research of the Kraken and Siren. They were still flabbergasted that this monster is a combo of both. They were almost certain they weren't dealing with two separate creatures. At times, Gavin wondered who the next monster boss would be, aside from Moloch, Pandora the Hidden One, and Dreyfus. He also thought this could be the start of the fourth tribulation. In the distance, someone whispered and sang Gavin's name. However, it sounded faint, but up close. It's actually deep inside his ear. It caused him to squirm, and he kept hearing the call in his mind. Jenny never seemed to notice. "Gavin, come, come to me, my brave young knight." He wasn't awake, but his subconscious was asking, who is she, and why is he being summoned? Yet her voice was so elegant, irresistible, almost like it belonged to an angel, even though it wasn't. "Come to me, Gavin. Ichabod is waiting." He knew it was the Kraken, but why would his best friend be out in the middle of nowhere? Unless... The moment she said his hero awaited him, that got his attention. He woke up, but his eyes were white. Slowly, he rose from the couch and removed the blanket. The last thing he wanted to do was to wake up Jenny. His head felt heavy with the creature's message. He knew he had to find Ichabod. He was with the Kraken near the water's edge. Gavin donned on his shirt, capris, and his signature loafers, and carefully unlocked and opened the door as slow as a drogger. Jenny stirred, but she was lying in her bed. For a few moments he paused. Then he set out into the wilderness, his mind growing with curiosity and unusual lust. It had the same effect on the Freemason sleeping at his apartment. His body felt tight as he wakened. The siren call of duty reached him as well. "You fight for freedom. Now I need it. You and Gavin must save me." In a trance, he dressed in his usual colonial clothing. He was out following his mind in a matter of seconds. Gavin was the first to meet her at the river, and she kept telling him to be patient, as Ichabod lives a little further from it. There was a brief rustle in the grass, and it was Ichabod mindlessly walking to him. You were summoned too? Kraken. She needs us to protect her. Gavin understood. Neither of their eyes even blinked. Then they saw her majestic figure gradually rise. They both simultaneously bowed to her. She brought her hands down to them, one touching Gavin's cheek, the other touching Ichabod's. It felt like skin, but damp, cool, and soft as silk. Welcome, warriors. I shall take you both to my lair while your friends are out looking for you. They will never know where you are. It made them stir, and he obliged as they nodded to each other. Come. Her large back was enough to hold them, and Ichabod climbed in front, Gavin in the rear. As she swam, it was only like the sound of waves. She carried them both to the unknown. The next morning, Jenny woke up and realized Gavin was gone. Strangely enough, he took his loafers and some of his clothes were missing. She first tried calling him, but the cell was still in the trailer. He didn't take any of his weapons either. This was unusual since Gavin always takes his phone with him wherever he goes. Same thing with his weapons. He's always fully equipped when they deal with whatever monster there is. She figured the siren must have taken him away after hearing her lulling song. Jake also realized Ichabod was missing from his apartment. They both shared the old rustic building, but in different rooms. His phone was still there, and Jake was about to pick him up and bring him to the vault. Same case scenario, similar suspicion. They both alerted the others. When the team was looking, they brought their weapons to protect her. From the crossbow to the arm blades to the demon slayer, Ichabod and Gavin were ready for war. Much like Crane's transformation, it too was almost arousing to them. Jake goes over the info he found at the vault. It was said that the Kraken possessed traits that are associated with large whales rather than with giant squid, as many early dwellers believed. Some traits of Kraken resemble undersea volcanic activity occurring in the Iceland region, including bubbles of water, sudden dangerous currents, and appearances of new islets. They're best known in Homer's Odyssey, where Odysseus warned to his sailors that its song could lure them to their deaths. They gotta plug their ears with wax, according to the advice from Circe. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing them wrong. But she can't be a siren. It's only half human, half bird, more attractive than harpies. And it lives on rocky islands, mostly with grassy, flowery meadows. The Kraken has tentacles which could easily attach itself to rocks. It could travel at high speed in water when provoked and eject ink, blinding its victims. It has eyesight similar to a human's. It can use camouflage underwater. It can also propel itself underwater using jets of water from its gills. Diana suggests the team should split up. Jenny said it would take too long before the monster could use them during her invasion on the other islands. Though, through its history and epic battles of the Civil War, Jake finally found their location. Little Island's coordinates are 38.891 degrees north, 77.059 degrees west. Its area is 6 acres all around, and it is the sixth largest island in the nation's capital. It is uninhabited, underdeveloped, and entirely wooded. The only access to it is by boat. It is not part of Theodore Roosevelt Island Park. The island is in the shape of a rounded triangle. It's also known as South Island or Swan Island. Potomac is known for its salinity and strong tides, and it widens as it heads downstream. DC is just above the tidal or lower Potomac River. At the left descending bank, it widens up to 11 miles before it reaches the Chesapeake Bay. With all those interesting factors, and since the Kraken is known to manipulate tides, it is making the perfect battleground. The 1859 siege of Harper's Ferry at the river's confluence, where the two fronts meet, with the Shenandoah as a prologue to numerous epic battles of the American Civil War in and around the Potomac and its tributaries, such as the 1861 Battle of Ball's Bluff and the 1862 Battle of Shepherdstown. General Robert E. Lee crossed that river involving the North and threatening Washington, D.C. twice in campaigns climaxing in the battles of Antietam on September 17, 1862, and Gettysburg on July 1st through 3rd in 1863. Also, Confederate General Jubal Early crossed the river in July 1864 on his attempted raid on the nation's capital. I guess we could be similar to the Army of the Potomac. We are defending it from a Kraken hybrid after all. Fascinated, the team followed her to a secret location in the vault. Within the tunnels, Alex uncovered something as she pulled open the curtains. Alex recovered an abandoned ship recently from the Potomac, and she and Jake discovered it to be a Revolutionary vessel, the Licky. She has been making some upgrades on it. It's a medium-sized ship equipped with a couple harpoons. It was rusty and was abandoned for over 200 years. She suggested they use the harpoons to distract the Kraken. They could also use the sacred rifle and crossbow to weaken it. Glocks are effective but weak. It won't be easy getting through to Gavin and Crane. We have to take out the Kraken, but we must fend off her protectors first. We may have a chance with Gavin. He could be persuaded easier. But Crane is a different case. He's a man of war, very duty-driven. Once he has an objective, he won't stop till he accomplishes that. Plus, he's very skilled in combat. If he has to fight, he'll fight. No fear, no regrets. What are you saying, Jenny? How can we break her thrall over him? She's saying that Gavin could break her hold more easily than Crane. He has a sensitive mind. Better having one out of the equation. I'm sure we'll figure it out. In a cave somewhere, Gavin woke up and wondered where he was. He looked around and eventually saw Ichabod laying on the ground. Still no movement. He tried shaking his arm, but there was a sound. Thinking it'd be the Kraken, he laid on the ground next to him. She peered over them and made a call. They're coming. They will be invading us soon. You may now gather your weapons and prepare for battle. Prove yourselves, and protect me from these low-life humans. Ichabod and Gavin's eyes shot open, and again having that white tint to them. Mistress, what if we were to draw them to us? I'm quite certain Master Wells will find us eventually, but we should get their attention. We could be used as bait, luring them to the predator. Found a discarded plastic bottle and requested Gavin to fill out the note. He ballasted it with dry sand, thinking it'd stay afloat. They gave it to the Kraken for deliverance, and as she left, Gavin's eyes started to twitch. His brown hue was seen temporarily, though Ichabod said to look for their weapons and climb aboard. Gavin, we must be ready and protect our mistress. Of course, Ichabod. His eyes were restored to their creepy shade. They're willing to protect the Kraken even if it costs them with their lives. Thanks to their assistance, the team got the Licky out and drove it on a long trailer bed to the river. With a huge thump and splash, it was unloaded on the overlook. Alex was fascinated. My work has paid off. We're actually using it for our first ever naval battle. I can't believe we're doing this. Don't get your hopes up, Captain Alex. This thing's over 200 years old, remember? It could be as fragile as a model of a kid's toy. Oh, you're such a poor sport. He is right, you know. We may not be able to make it back. With Gavin and Crane under her spell, it's an unwarranted gamble. Can't keep worrying about that. Let's get going. During their destination, it was just as Jake described. The river was choppy and the current kept pulling against the ancient vessel. Still they persisted, and at times it buckled and bobbed. Look! She pointed to an object poking out of the surface. It was a dark olive color. She thought it was seaweed, but as they got closer, it was a bottle. Alex grabbed her 10-foot net and scooped it up. It's a letter in a bottle. What do you know? He unscrewed the rubber cap and it poured out. The paper was worn, wrinkled, and a dark shade of beige. However, the writing was perfectly clear. The scribbling was indeed Gavin's handwriting, as Crane's was always in neat cursive. It said they'd been captured by the Kraken and needed to be rescued. At least it showed they're still alive. Their song led them to their imprisonment awaiting death. The team wasn't very convinced. Diana said this is a so-called desperate message. They want to distract them to the Kraken themselves. It could be an ambush. Like she said, it's an unwarranted gamble, especially since it's on an island where people don't live on and is heavily covered in forests. You must stay alert, prepare for anything. As a Marine, her instincts went sky high. Land ho! Alex cried as the forested island loomed in the distance among the thin fog. The anchor hit the rocks and the team disembarked. The waves still looked against the old Licky's underside, followed some footprints. They could tell it was Ichabod and Gavin. The surgeons were skinny and around 6 feet, while Crane's were wider and around 8 feet long. With their doubts, they still pressed on. But Jenny hesitated. They headed into a cave. Remembering what Diana said, she muttered this could be an ambush. She slowly treaded to a nearby bush, carefully not stepping on a twig or tripping on a vine. In a squatting position, she adjusted her belt and loaded her Glock with silver bullets. They ventured in. Jake almost called their names, but Diana shushed him, saying they're here planning an attack. To avoid detection, they never used any flashlights. As they approached the center, Gavin hid behind a boulder in the corner. Ichabod gave a slight cough. The sound gave him away. Next to a crevice, he crawled out. The team went to him, and Diana asked if he's okay. Yes, I think so. Last night we heard the sirens call. In a trance, we wandered here. We've been in prison for nearly a day now. We haven't eaten or drank anything as of yet. Gavin back there's growing very weak. Cannot last much longer. Kraken is on to us. We'll get you out of here, Crane. I promise. She ordered the duo to escort Gavin and Ichabod, but she just realized Jenny disappeared. Ichabod's expression suddenly changed, his hand clenched into a fist. Now! Slab, they were standing on suddenly sunk. Water surrounded it like a moat. Gavin immediately tossed to Ichabod his crossbow as the Kraken appeared to them. With a crossbow and sword, they demanded them to discard their weapons. This was a setup. I knew it was a trap. Cackle was heard. Hello, my prey. Water surrounding the shaft shifted, meaning she was here for business. Things looked dreadful for the trio, and Diana begged Crane and Gavin to snap out of it. She even tried restoring some of their memories, hoping the wind kill them. Never budged. Crane mentioned that Miss Jenny was missing from the group. Even the evil duo knew there was still one left. Ichabod and assured Gavin they'll get to her once they're done with the hostages. Hey, Siren! You looking for me? Jenny showed up and shot the Kraken. Ichabod retaliated with his crossbow, missing her by a hair. She was shocked at his demeanor. They were controlled. A craven play. Miss Jenny, you could spare your life if you wish to surrender. Submit, and no harm shall be done to you. Drop your weapon! You kill our mistress, you will kill us, as we would you. Drop it now! Jenny lowered. Let them go. No, the monster said coldly, and the Kraken strangled her as she raised a hand and used her powers, causing Jenny to suffocate and drown. Loads of water clogged her lungs, and she kept coughing it out. Jake, Diana, and Alex were horrified, and Ichabod couldn't let them pass. His crossbow raised as he sneered. Gavin just stood there watching Jenny suffer and being at the Kraken's mercy. Jenny managed to cough out his name, and his eyes began to rapidly flutter. He went down on all fours as he felt very lightheaded. His hands started to tremble and felt something in his mind breaking. His head cleared. His eyes returned to normal. He slowly looked at his surroundings. Kraken was still killing Jenny. His eyes widened. Wait! Wait! She's mine! Monster dropped her, and he reached and grabbed her hand, almost dragging her to a corner of the cave. The sword to her throat, he demanded to follow him. Then he lowered his weapon. All right, Jenny. Gavin! Hugged for a couple seconds, but Gavin is worried about the hostages. She wanted to fake her death. Gavin withdrew his sword when he found a long, thick slab of rock, took it, and made a grim face. This is gonna be the darkest thing I'll ever do. Go to him. Seizing the creature, Gavin whacked it against the wall of the cave far away from Jenny. The Kraken, as expected, was enthralled, thinking Jenny was dead. Then she signaled Ichabod to kill the fear-stricken hostages. Closed in on Diana, Alex, and Jake. They were all scared stiff, hardly making a response with the monster watching. All they did was look upon him as he raised his right arm holding a long sword. What was scarier was the pentagram glowing under his forearm. Before he knew it, Gavin whispered, I should have done this to you while you were the horseman of war. Huh? Blah! With the slap, he smacked the slab hard into his neck. As he gradually went down, Gavin muttered, Ichabod, please, forgive me. A few gunshots rang out as Jenny fired to the Kraken again. In a vulnerable state, she was hit and hurt. She screamed, and then her body sunk into a large stream, carrying her body out of the cave. Jenny figured she's retreating to the water. It'll be difficult to find her. Using the dagger, Gavin cut the ropes. Everybody okay? Way to think on your feet, you two. Yeah, you got that right. You guys got a big pair of cohornies. Very gross, Jake. Can't take a compliment. Jenny checked on the fallen Freemason. Luckily, he still had a pulse and was breathing faintly. He's out cold. Alex and Diana volunteered to carry him. Jake, Jenny, and Gavin took the front. We must hurry. The Kraken would surely unleash her wrath on the nearby islands. They ran out to the Licky and set sail. Meanwhile, the Kraken looked upon the islands. They were like stones compared to her colossal size. With her bullet wounds gone, she gathered her strength. Water began to surge below, then she hesitated as she noticed something that was not supposed to be there. Through the choppy waves the Licky bobbed. They couldn't see the Kraken anywhere. Alex suspected she'd be underwater plotting her next move. Then the ship suddenly shook. Everyone held on to dear life and later saw the Kraken rise and roar over them. Alex and Diana covered Ichabod's unconscious body. Quickly! Use the harpoons! We could use them as a distraction and anchor us to her! He and Jenny grabbed one with the silver tips and aimed at her tentacles. Gavin was startled. They might be dragged under. We've got to try! Millions of lives are at stake here! He nodded. A pair of harpoons were simultaneously shot to the tentacles. Didn't seem to hurt the monster, though she was pretty irritated. She sank under, causing the spears to lurch, the ship with them. Then she attacked the bow. Using her Glock, Jenny fired a couple shots. We can't fight her like this! The ship violently shook again. This time it was tilting to the right, and Alex fell overboard. Alex! He ran over to the side and bravely dove in after her. Alex! Jake! There was no response. The weight was too much for Diana, and she fell along with Ichabod. There were only 2 victims left. The monster rose in her female form and thrust a strong arm, snapping the flagpost. Everyone ducked for cover, and the impact caused the deck to shatter. The underside burst, and the ship lurched again. Jenny! We're sinking! Hesitantly, she looked up. They were sinking rapidly toward the Savage River. Gavin was gathering something and putting it inside a small metal case, stuffing it in his pocket. Gavin! Come on! He looked up and the Kraken was nowhere in sight. Then the horror mounted as the Licky headed to a sharp rocky mound. There is a well-known phrase for this. Abandoned ship! They ran to the edge of the deck, took a deep breath, and leaped off the doomed Licky. Meanwhile, as they surfaced, their friends screamed for them to swim for shore, waiting and watching at the bank several feet away. The Kraken was closing fast on the helpless duo. The rough waves and current made them tire, yet the team's screams kept them going, their bodies burning. Jenny was stronger and more skilled than Gavin. He stopped and heard her call, told her to leave without him as he had an idea. The metal case drained out the water and there was a taser. He dried it with his shirt and he wrapped a piece of string around the button. She asked how he got it. Alex dropped it during the attack. He encouraged the Kraken to move closer. She leapt and he threw it after. He said, Say hello to the weeping lady. It was deja vu from the time he used a more moderate one from Abby, shocking the deceased Mary. His last resort, Gavin tossed it. Instead of the demon slayer, since her exterior is too powerful. Direct hit! The wave dissipated and the Kraken screeched in pain as she went down. By the time the wave died, the current hit the lake. Gavin just reached the wet soil when he got electrocuted. Gavin! Jenny screamed and ran to his side. She examined his body, but only his breathing stopped. She rose his head and did mouth to mouth. Everyone except Ichabod watched. After several attempts, Jenny revived him. His eyes shot open. Relax, Gavin. Relax. Take your time. Jenny. And in your death experience escaping from a hellhound to the bowels of the underworld. He was being chased as it snarled and barked. He was about to be torn to shreds until Jenny woke him up. He fears it'll come for Ichabod since he made the deal. Lucifer would hasten his death and damn the witness. She offered to stay with him while Jake, Alex, and Diana loaded Ichabod into her van. She touched his cheek. Gavin, I'm not afraid anymore. I have shed my tears with Joe. My heart isn't broken. Now I know why. I must stay strong for him and for Abby. But remembering everything you've done for us has made it all worthwhile. What I'm saying is, I love you, Gavin, my chosen. She kissed him on the forehead. He couldn't possibly believe what she said. Did you? Just couldn't find words. She simply nodded and they held each other in their warm, comforting arms. By the time Crane was awake, good morning. Langton was surprised to see her. He then saw that everyone was gone. She explained the ordeal and where her mom went. She just got a message saying the Kraken is gone and she'll be back shortly. He was relieved since Washington is safe. The unfortunate islands along the Potomac weren't affected. He wondered how he got soaked, but he was mostly tired and hurt by the pain in the back of his neck. Molly, I'm home. Mom, Mr. Crane is awake. Oh, Agent Thomas. She made me. I know. It's all right. None of this was your doing. She was relieved that Ichabod's his normal self again. She asked how he was feeling, and she told Molly to get an ice pack from the freezer after he touched his aching neck. She suggested to fix something up while Ichabod rests. Gavin and the others found out about Ichabod's damnation that would take place after his death. He was the most upset. He said there's no possible way to reverse it, though Jenny kept assuring him they'll find a way. He was very disappointed that Ichabod's soul isn't eternal unlike Abby's, and it's bound to be damned perhaps in the treachery ring. Team Witness figured that Lucifer was desperate on obtaining his soul. The Kraken was probably a test of lust, capturing Gavin and Ichabod with her charm. He'd probably rather have them serve him before his upcoming death instead. Now the team was just as determined to reverse the curse as they ever were before. And there's a song. Wasn't exactly sure what the crew had in mind before Fox canceled the series, but I hope I did a decent attempt. I figured the Kraken should be a mix with the abilities of a siren. Diana and Ichabod debated over it, and it could be more intimidating. The Licky was inspired by the ship the SS Licky from Final Fantasy X, especially when it was attacked by Sin. Potomac River is rich in history and culture, and its characteristics are pretty accurate here. Episode 2 will be coming up soon, so give me some time to work on it. And since the show's canceled, it gave me some more potential. Case in point, how Jenny finally kissed Gavin. Perhaps he would be the one for her after all. We'll see. So until next time, sleepyheads, please tell me what you thought of the cancellation and the series itself. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Until then, this is the Ecron Writer signing out. Farewell, sleepyheads.